Hello, and welcome to Animal Chiropractic Clinic Chatter, a podcast where Dr. O from All Creatures Every Spine interviews doctors and animal owners that utilize animal chiropractic to get their unique perspectives. Yes, it's really a thing. Dr. O utilizes his 30 years of experience as both an animal chiropractor and veterinarian, and to dig deep into the discussion of complex issues affecting the lives of your animal friends and companions. Join us for this educational episode. Thanks for joining us for this portion of the episode as Dr. O begins to answer the question, what is animal chiropractic? He will look at how the chiropractic adjustment is a valuable and viable treatment for what ails your animals.
So, animal chiropractic, concerned with the conductor of your animal's movements, function, and everything. So like the conductor of an orchestra, your animal's nervous system orchestrates all the functions of the body. Their heart rate, the way that every cell has metabolism, and all that. So every system, every cell in the body gets its guidance from the conductor, the brain. And when that communication is off, then nothing works right. So in the orchestra, if the drummer has the wrong beat, the woodwinds are playing too loud, it just doesn't sound right, does it? And the conductor has to get everybody playing at the same tune at the same time so that everything works great. And as an animal chiropractor, that's what I'm trying to do, is to get your animal's body to function at its optimal level all the time, so that no matter what, everything is great, so that we can have this beautiful symphony of sound, beautiful symphony of movement that's your animal. And that's our goal with animal chiropractic. How long is it going to take for your animal to hold its alignment? Think about somebody that that has braces. That they put the braces on, and sometimes they can't even tighten them up all the way on the first visit. So you have to go into several visits to get the teeth aligned properly. And then you have to leave them there for a long time, sometimes for 3, 4, 5 years to get those teeth to where they hold their alignment. And that's kind of why we use routine maintenance to get your animal's spine to hold its alignment. And that's if nothing else happens. Those teeth aren't going to have anything, growth is pretty much done when we get the braces on. And so there's not a lot of changes coming on with your teeth once those braces come on. With your animal spine movement, because you want his spine to be movable and to be able to protect the spinal cord, sometimes life causes these things we call vertebral subluxations. And so once we remove them, maintenance is what we're going to do. How long? Who knows? Depends on how long the subluxation has been there. Could be there since birth. Your animal's 6 months probably won't take as much to get him to hold his alignment than as if he's 16 years old. So different timings for different animals. And then as we start the new problems will show up. And your animal chiropractor should give you some homework, so some ways to show, like check the neck flexion to the right, to the left. Is it equal? Does the body look equal? Does range of motion equal? All those kinds of things that will help you know when it's time to come to your chiropractor and get another adjustment. Because unfortunately, a subluxation can be like hanging Christmas tree bulbs. How hard is it to find that one bulb that's out of alignment sometimes? Sometimes you just throw the whole string away and start over. We don't want to do that with your animal. So we might find one and it seems like everything's good, and then there's another one that was out too, or there was another one that was just starting to go out. A subluxation that's not as critical as the first subluxation removed, but and it's all important. And so as we start to do more and more and get your animal more movement in his spine, things will start to happen, his health will improve, and the whole body will be better.
Make sure to visit our website, allcreatureseveryspine.com, where you can subscribe to the show and learn more about getting your animals adjusted. If you are in the Meridian, Texas area, drop in on a Tuesday afternoon to get your animals adjusted. If that isn't possible, schedule a consultation on your animal's health with Dr. O. You can also purchase a copy of Dr. O's book. Yes, it's really a thing.
Helping others experience an abundant life with the gift, art, and blessing that is animal chiropractic is our sole mission at All Creatures Every Spine. It's what we do. It's what we love. It truly is what keeps us motivated to help people just like you. I truly love the art of chiropractic. It drives me to provide the highest level of chiropractic possible. And as fellow chiropractic business owners, it's that love that drives us to become better. However, the reality is that sometimes running a successful business can be challenging. Sometimes there can be obstacles to overcome. We all know the old saying, if it were easy, everyone would do it. Well, one thing that is really easy is marketing our clinic with a professional animal chiropractic website by the Chiro Website Pro, Tony Seymour. He's a professional web designer, and his team at Chiro Website Pro take good care of us. They simply make marketing our practice 100% hassle-free. If you're looking for the #1 hands-free way to market your practice, give the Chiro Website Pro a call at 423-779-4630 or simply visit www.chirowebsitepro.com and make sure you ask them about the special ACES discount and let them know Dr. Amy and Dr. O sent you. You'll be glad.
Standard Process is a third-generation family-owned company in rural Wisconsin. You could say we just make nutritional supplements, but we know we're changing lives. We grow ingredients on our own certified organic farm without pesticides or herbicides because we think they should be as close to nature as possible. Quality is our priority. That's why we do everything right here, from hand-picking the seeds to delivery, so you know exactly what goes into every bottle.
Your active dog needs more than water to rehydrate. Replenish Dog Water Supplement is an all-natural powdered water flavoring, prevents dehydration and provides vitamins for your dog. Created by a veterinarian and rooted in science. Give your dog the care they deserve with Replenish.
Join us as Dr. O interviews a certified chiropractor, veterinarian, or an animal owner. These enthusiastic people explain how they utilize animal chiropractic to alter the lives of the animals in their communities.
Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of Animal Chiropractic Clinic Chatter. I'm your host, Dr. O, and we have with us today Dr. John. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Dr. John.
I am Dr. John Duppenthaler. I live and practice in Gig Harbor, Washington. I have been a human chiropractor since 1990. I went to Life Chiropractic in Atlanta, Georgia, and graduated in 90, moved back home and practiced in Tacoma, right across the bridge, until about 2003, then moved my practice to Gig Harbor. It's called Maritime Chiropractic, and we've been going strong ever since. And then last year I was introduced to ACES and animal chiropractic, and I now have a thriving animal chiropractic business called Gig Harbor Animal Chiropractic, and we really specialize in equine and canine Chiropractic, and we're having a ball serving our local community in all those areas.
All right. And so you said you just started a year ago, right?
Yes.
But yet you also said your practice is thriving already, your animal practice.
Yes.
So that quick.
Yes. It's amazing.
It's amazing. Wow. So the demand is really there for animal chiropractic, isn't it?
It is. As the only AVCA chiropractor in my area, I have patients drive an hour and a half, 2 hours carrying their dogs into our office. And it's an amazing responsibility. It's serious business. I know that for lots of my career, I checked dogs and adjusted them. I really didn't know what I was doing, except for as an experienced chiropractor, I could feel where subluxations were. I used an activator primarily and adjusted them, and they were able to get back to normal life. But when I found out, as you well know, most people begin to find out, hey, this is a real thing, and animal chiropractic is a real thing. It's also very serious business. So just like human chiropractic, so many of our patients come to us as a last resort. They've seen all of the other providers and have had maybe surgery done or recommended. They're tired of the merry-go-round of drugs. And the same thing with the animals. They're coming in because they aren't satisfied with the approach that's been taken with their loved one, their animal. And oftentimes they're faced with decisions that are really hard. Let's say, for example, Bill, you have a family dog that's 8 years old, and they come up lame, and you go to the veterinary hospital. They'll do an MRI for $2,000 to $4,000, and then they say, well, we need to do surgery, or we need to put your dog down. And I'm in a building with the largest animal hospital in our region. I've been there for years. They happen to take over this whole vacant building after COVID. And so honestly, a year ago, in January, we just got fed up with seeing families crying in the hallway because they're forced with decisions of having to put down their faithful little guy or gal. And so that's when I was introduced to ACEs and started the program. And so people are driving. We're on social media, Gig Harbor Animal Chiropractic on Facebook and Instagram. And so as people see the videos of me adjusting dogs and horses, they're reaching out to us. They schedule online, and then they bring their dogs in, holding them, and it's really serious business. This is not like, oh, I want to just start cracking dogs' necks. This is like restoring life. And so, for example, yesterday we saw this little dachshund, 6-year-old dachshund, became lame in October. Both legs shut down, and it just would drag itself around. And I have about 42 pages of notes from the vet and the vet hospitals and all of their diagnosis and testing and their what they think it might be. Well, ultimately, nothing helped this little guy. And this is the beginning of 3 weeks now. We're seeing little Rebel, and Rebel is able to stand up on his own on the adjusting block yesterday while I adjusted him. And I had to kind of just keep one finger on him so he didn't tip over, but he's powered up his legs. He's now, when we adjust him, we get a nice full shake, and then he's moving along the floor. His back legs are chugging along before they just drug along dead. And then when we went outside, he stood up in the grass, took a few steps, and went to the bathroom. He has bladder control now. And so it's a very powerful thing when we restore the flow of nerves in the body. And it's the same as humans, It's the same with dogs, it's the same with horses. But folks are really searching for another option. And that's what we've built our human practice on for decades. And now we're building our animal practice the same way by removing nerve interference and allowing life to flow from above down, inside out.
What would you say to anybody, a professional, a veterinarian or a chiropractor, about spending, a lot of money to add this to your repertoire?
Well, money is all relative, and for the impact that a great animal chiropractor, a great licensed veterinarian trained in chiropractic, it can influence hundreds or thousands or more lives of these animals that we care about. And so it's a small investment in the picture of things today, when I know in Meridian coffees aren't $8, but here in Gig Harbor, if you were to go through Starbucks, it's $8 for a coffee or what have you. So for let's say $20,000, including tuition and travel and everything else, you have a skill set that one can use for the rest of their career. It's a no-brainer, actually. And for the cost of the education, it's outweighed by just the intrinsic rewards of helping these animals. Gosh, I sat for the AVCA certification in Oklahoma in September, and I've more than made up the investment in my animal chiropractic education and training expenses in less than 6 months. It's just it is what it is. It's an investment. It's something I wanted to do personally. And I've been in practice for now, in June or July, it'll be 34 years. And an interesting thing that happened, Bill, is because you and Dr. Amy teach principled chiropractic, it was great to get a refresher between my own ears and see and experience that with creatures that have no preconceived agenda or ideas or notions. They're just coming to me and connecting live being to live being just through our hearts, and allowing me to restore nerve flow in their body and to see these lives transform. And so it has also then renewed the enthusiasm for what I do in the office with humans. So essentially, I've been doing the same thing for 34 years, but now it's totally different, yet totally the same. And so it just renewed enthusiasm. Like anyone, if you do the same thing for decades, it can become kind of the same old thing. Well, this kind of revived and sparked a fire in my heart and mind for service. So I have to thank you and Dr. Amy for that.
Well, I thank you for your boy story.
Oh yeah. Okay, so it gets even better when we get into the story. I can't wait to tell you more.
Oh, okay. Well, my story of how I got to be a chiropractic veterinarian, and how I added chiropractic, and how I became principal, and how I went from, a tool in my toolbox, right? And like a lot of the animal chiropractic programs in the country are tool in the toolbox type programs, to no, it is the tool in the toolbox. It is the first tool that everybody should go to. Dr. Amy had to get talked off the ledge the other day because she was ready to turn somebody into Child Protective Services because they didn't take their kid that ran into the wall to a chiropractor. They took him to a veterinarian, or not a veterinarian, a medical doctor instead, and they can't find anything wrong with her. But one side of her face is like up, not down, it's up. Well, Bell's palsy would be droop, right? Mm-hmm. So this is the opposite, but the diagnosis is Bell's palsy in a 12-year-old girl that ran into the wall. So it's like it's an atlas.
Right.
So when you texted me back in August about a boy that you'd worked on, because I basically challenged you in class, and you're pretty hard to challenge. We get chiropractors come in here that don't have a lot of principle. We get veterinarians that come in here that don't even know the 33 principles when they start. And we talk about, analogies and how important it is to have an analogy to talk to your clients about, like cell phone signal goes down. You can't get the right things from the grocery store, but if you have a good signal on your cell phone, you'll get everything the wife wants when you go to the grocery store. And that's what, as animal chiropractors, we do, is we restore signal so that the brain can talk to the body. And you came in and you gave a Sid Williams analogy that was great and awesome, and it was one he's always given. And it was fantastic. So to challenge you, John, to increase your principality, as we would call it, was a challenge. But I guess I did, huh? You want to take it from there?
Yeah. So I had a gentleman come in. He's in the medical field in emergency surgery, and he and his wife come in intermittently for chiropractic care. With super happy with what we do. I happened to ask this gentleman how the kids are doing, and he mentioned for the first time his youngest 5-year-old son has been having seizures, and they've started investigating the fundamental underlying cause of those seizures. And the doctors so far had been unable to determine the cause, and they were just about to start him on a series of medications. And so we discussed a little bit more of the power of adjusting the atlas and removing pressure from the brainstem. And the worst case scenario for his son is that he would be free of nerve interference. And the best case scenario, this could be the fundamental underlying cause of his seizures. He had been having upwards of 100 plus seizures per day, and he would just check out. And so I asked if I could have the permission to check his son. He said yes. Brought him later that day, and I checked him, and his atlas and axis, C1 and C2, were out of alignment based on all of the criteria that I used to determine that. And I adjusted that little boy, and he got off the table and woke up essentially and looked at his dad, and his dad just couldn't believe that his son was there, kind of receiving that visual. And then it was amazing. Had him come back the next day. We checked him again. He was much better. I fine-tuned the upper cervical region, adjusted a few of the other areas just to balance him out. And then he came back a week later. And of course, when I saw him the next day, he hadn't had any seizures in that 24-hour period. He'd been having over 100 a day, and then he had none. And then he came back the next week and still had none. And I checked him. His atlas was clear. Everything was clear. And they said, this is great, unbelievable. This is exactly what we're looking for. We're going to make sure we get him checked regularly to make sure his atlas is free and clear. And that was in the first week of September. And then I hadn't seen him since. So fast forward to Monday morning, you called me about getting on this podcast. And so that little boy was on my heart. So at lunchtime, I called the dad. I said, hey, I can't help but think about Sawyer. How's he doing? And he said, he had a seizure on Christmas Eve. It lasted about 5 minutes. We took him to the ER, but then he came out of it. They couldn't find any residual. They sent him home, and it's kind of been in and out. But he said a couple of weeks ago, he fell, landed on the back of his head. He had to have staples and sutures and clean it all up. And since then, the seizures have returned. And so now they've got an MRI schedule. They have all of the wheels turning for the medical treatment of that. And I said, well, have you considered bringing Sawyer back? I'd like to check him for subluxation. And he said, you know what, John? It's not an accident that you're calling me right now, because yesterday after church, we had the elders lay hands on him and pray for him and pray for an answer and a solution to the situation. And here we're talking right now. And so it wasn't an accident, Bill, that you called me in the morning. And it wasn't an accident then that I followed my heart and called him. And then he came in yesterday to get checked. And sure enough, his upper cervicals were out. I adjusted that. I cleared him out, and we'll see him again tomorrow. So anyway, that's where we're at. So it's a super powerful example of releasing the nervous system and allowing the body to express its normal state. Our normal state is great health. And like it's been said many times, God doesn't need any help, just no interference. My job is simply to remove the interference.
Yes, but we have two jobs as chiropractors. Number one is to get the people on the table or the bail. And we can't do that if we don't talk to them. And so the reason that you first talked to that boy and talked about him was you used my son's story to get him in. And my son's story is that when he was 37 and a half years old and he died after a seizure, not because of a seizure, but after a seizure. And I said, wow. And then I got to looking at the whole history, and I was like, so part of it was the drugs that killed him. That's partly my fault because I didn't look into it enough. And then the other thing is, if there were 17 chiropractors that lived in the towns that I lived in before he got his first adjustment, and they never talked about chiropractic. And it takes, as a chiropractor, as an animal chiropractor, when you see somebody and you ask them about their kid, or you see a picture on Facebook, or you watch a video, or you hear somebody complaining about, the vet's not getting anywhere, it takes a lot to step up and say, have you thought about chiropractic? Oh, that's quackery. We're not going to do that crap, Well, wait a minute. Why do you think that? And the people that know the history, the reason that people think that chiropractic is quackery and all that goes back to 1910. And two gentlemen by the name of Rockefeller and Carnegie. You ever hear of those guys?
Absolutely.
They hired this guy to go look at all these schools and give them grades, and like Harvard and Yale got A's, and then other places got B's, C's, D's, and F's. And if they got below a D, they were quackery. Well, all the osteopath schools, all the homeopathic schools, and all the chiropractic schools got D's and F's. Now, there was ways to get your grade elevated. And you could get your grade elevated, and you could get a grant from, yeah, you guessed it, the Rockefeller Foundation, which was doing a bunch of work with petrochemical byproducts and making synthetic vitamins and stuff like that, right, at the time. And so you could get a grant from the Rockefeller Foundation if you added pharmacology. Now, New York School of Medicine, you ever heard of that school?
Not really, no.
Well, it's a big research school for medicine. Before 1910, it was called the New York School of Homeopathic Medicine, one of the largest ones in the U.S. They got a D on their test. They changed their name. They added pharmacology. They're no longer quacks. Osteopathic medicine, you ever heard of that? There was 8 colleges in 1910. They all got D's and F's. They held out until 1927 when the Council of Osteopathic Medicine added what to their curriculum?
Pharmacology.
Correct. And now you can't really tell the difference between an osteopath and an MD. The only profession that held out and has been considered quackery since 1910 is chiropractic. In fact, there was 28 vet schools before 1910. 26 of them closed because they didn't want to teach pharmacology and get rid of some of the stuff like, bloodletting and some of the stuff that was really, current veterinary medicine at the time. So everybody closed. Now they started with 2, Iowa State and Ohio State. Now we're back up again. But the only schools that didn't cave and still don't teach pharmacology are your principal chiropractic colleges.
There you go. Great story. Thanks for the history.
Yeah. And that'll all be in the new book. Yes, it's really a thing, but it's a better thing. It's a better thing. So yes. But yeah, it's all there. And when you realize that, because people say, well, if chiropractic is so great, especially animal chiropractic, why haven't I heard about it before? And that's why. Because, you and I don't have $1 million budget for advertising.
Just under that, yeah.
Yeah, just under that, And even if you and I put our advertising budget together, we can't buy a Super Bowl commercial. It's still we're still a little low, right? But yet these big drug companies, how many of them had Super Bowl commercials?
Yep.
And we that's our competition. People need to know, like, and trust us before they will buy and refer. And Riverdale has a commercial out there, one of the non-steroidal anti-inflammatories for dogs. It's a dog playing Scrabble, and it says trust. Riverdale in small print. That's the kind of stuff that we're up against competing with. And so the fact that you're in a veterinarian's office and succeeding is huge.
Well, it's a big outfit, and it's really been fun. Slowly, one by one, they're coming across the hall into our office and beginning to get adjusted. Yesterday, one of the employees was there filling out her paperwork as I was adjusting that little dachshund. And so it's pretty fun. It's really great.
I'm currently working with a group, a multi-doctor practice corporation, in getting them to add chiropractic to their small animal clinics. and it's one of the benefits of working for this chain of small animal clinics is that you get a gym membership and it's all these positive aspects of working. And they were a little hesitant to get a certified DC in there. And I said, man, you need a certified DC in there. You're all about, health and benefits to your employees. So you're going to have a certified doctor come in. You got 21 clinics. They're like, I think the furthest two apart are 40 minutes. So half a day, he's going to come in a half a day of dogs, do all the staff. Go to the next clinic, do all the staff, and half a day of dogs. And they were like, wow, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? And I'm like, yeah. Can you imagine that as part of animal chiropractic? That would be so cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right. Well, our time is coming to an end. I appreciate it immensely. Any words of wisdom to animal owners?
Remember, they are part of your family as well. They have a nervous system that controls and coordinates every aspect of their life and function, and have them checked for subluxation so they can be as healthy and well and function at a high level just like you do. And to see a certified animal chiropractor. There's a big difference between a chiropractor. I was amazed. I really was surprised, Bill, to be honest with you. I know we're wrapping up. How much I learned in your course about animal chiropractic. It was a great reminder of so much of it. It was just reconnecting synapses for me from all the years ago when I was in school, the chiropractic part of it. But the valuable part was the anatomy of the dog and the horse and the specific adjustment, lines of drive and correction, and the patterns that we see, and they're different than in humans. And so we're now working with hundreds of dogs and horses. It's I begin to see patterns, and I just can feel it. I know it. It's like, okay, if that goes out here, we have this, check for that. If this is happening here, we check for that. And it's just an amazing education process. So it's huge. So thank you very much for what you do.
Thank you. So that leads me right up. What do you tell people that say, oh, I'm going to go to a different school later, yours is too expensive?
Well, I don't know what the other schools provide, to be honest with you. But the value received is worth every penny.
All right, great. So we appreciate that, and we try to give back. I'm going to invite you out. This will probably come out about the time, just because about where we're at. The eclipse, April 8th.
Okay.
The ranch is 15 seconds less than the maximum amount of darkness you can experience that day. So we are right in the path of the eclipse. We're going to have 4 minutes and 7 seconds or something of total darkness. So here at the ranch. And so, I want to see if my chiropractor will make a house call that day, because I think it would be really powerful to get adjusted during the eclipse.
There you go. We'll have to look at our schedule, see if we can make it down there, Bill.
Really connect. So anyway, yeah, I appreciate everything. How do I get a hold of you? What's your number? I know you're on social media, but your number.
Our office number is 253-857-9100, and social media, Gig Harbor Animal Chiropractic on both Facebook and Instagram, and we're Maritime Chiropractic in Gig Harbor as well.
All right. And can I make an appointment for the whole family and just bring everybody in at once?
Absolutely.
All right. Yeah, we'll get everybody adjusted. Mom,
Easy
dad,
peasy.
the kids, bring the dogs. All
We love
right.
it. Yes.
All right. Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
You as well.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Bye, man.
If you are or know a veterinarian or chiropractor, or a student of either of these professions, visit our website, Animal Chiropractic Education Source, to see how to become certified in animal chiropractic. Start improving the lives of the animals around you. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to the ACES channels so that you never miss an exciting episode.